I was born a slave. The work was very hard. The conditions were terrible.
I used to stay home by myself, and I just did things by myself. Now that we've gotten together, when I'm upset, the group comforts me.
Diet, sanitation, health, everything has changed. Most importantly, I've learned to work scientifically.
In 1996, the Chinese government, with support from the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, created a model training and microcredit or small loan program. Known as the Social Development Program for Poor Areas, or SPPA, the aim was to help some of the poorest women in China.
A great challenge in China, which the Social Development Program for Poor Areas addresses, is that in addition to investing in institutions, it pays off to invest in people.
The program is having a profound impact, not only on the women taking part, but also on plans for future development policies in China and beyond. It is proving that extremely poor women deserve to have access to credit because they are worth it. Lijiang County, in China's southwestern Yunnan province, is the fabled Shangri-La. Typical of many parts of China's mountainous west, it's isolated from the economic boom that's transformed the eastern coastal regions. Lijiang is a world-class tourist destination. It's also the home of the Naxi, Tibetan, Bai, Yi, Lishu and Han peoples. It's a long, hard road to Wangsanping village near the Chinese border with Burma. The people in this village have all moved here within the last 7 years, part of a steady migration up into the mountains, fueled by the villages lower down the valleys, running out of land to cultivate to feed their growing populations. Yu Guihua is the oldest of 5 children. Her husband is the 4th of 7. She moved to Wangsanping 3 years ago to join her best friend Hu Tsanghua, who'd moved up the valley earlier. When they first arrived in the village, the whole area was bustling with timber workers logging and milling wood from the dense surrounding forests. The timber workers were keen to buy village produce, so the women had no difficulty in finding a market for their meat and vegetables. But all that was about to change. The forests of the Lijiang region play a key role in China's environment. Not only do they provide habitat for native species like the golden monkey and giant panda, they also protect part of the vital headwaters of the Mekong and Yangtze rivers. But in the wake of the devastating 1998 floods, the Chinese government passed strict new forestry laws. The mills in Lijiang were closed down, the loggers sent home. For China and for the global environment, it was a much-needed move. But for Yu Guihua and the other farmers of Wangsanping, it meant their major source of income had suddenly been taken away. The village's remote location and the lack of alternatives to farming hit the local economy hard. Then 2 years ago, the microcredit program came to Yu's village. With backing from UNICEF, the SPPA made small loans to the women taking part in the project, so they could invest in income-generating enterprises. Yu Guihua and Hu Tsanghua decided to pool their loans. With assistance from agriculture experts, they built plastic-covered greenhouses together. This enabled them to grow vegetables over all 4 seasons and vastly increase their productivity. In the months before they got their loans, the women joined together in small groups to support each other. To introduce themselves to the skills of managing finances, they saved small amounts of their own money. They discussed and developed a business plan, outlining how they would invest their funds. The loans are for 1,000 Chinese yuan, the equivalent of about 125 US dollars. As long as they pay the first loan back, they're eligible for 2 further loans. Yu Guihua has already repaid her first loan and taken out another. She's used the second to finance a small store which sells everyday necessities to her neighbors.
In the 2 years since 1998, I've done these 2 things: build the greenhouses and opened my store. Well, I wanted to, earn a little money and to solve the vegetable shortage in our valley. Before we built the greenhouse, there were times when we had problems raising enough vegetables. There's another village higher up that also comes down to buying vegetables. I solved the difficulty finding vegetables in our valley.
At monthly meetings, the women of Wang Sangping discuss their situation and ways they can improve their lives. Yu has been made the large group leader and supplied with teaching resources from the SPPA county office.
In today's meeting, we are studying how to prevent children from having diarrhea. All of our children have had diarrhea before, but after using this simple treatment, they all got well. None of our children have died.
Many women in the project have now installed sanitary toilets in their homes. This reduces the risk of disease, improving their and their families' health, and making them the envy of their neighbors. For some villages, the next step is to combine the waste with pig manure to produce biogas for cooking and lighting. Yu Guihua has even bigger ambitions.
My hopes for the future, there are so many. When the road is put in, I want to have a guest house, a car park, and a restaurant. I want to increase my greenhouse vegetables and to improve my grain crop.
This is a highly sustainable approach with a very modest investment with enormous economic and social returns. No one should underestimate the abilities of motivated communities, and particularly women's groups, to make a difference in breaking the cycle of poverty that often is transmitted from generation to generation.
The microloans are an important part of the SPPA program. It helps to organize the women. They are interested in getting the loans, and it makes them want to participate. Once they have joined, it is possible for them to access systematic training.